Security cameras are incredibly helpful in today's world. They can help catch criminals, verify that events occurred as they were reported, and more. Because they are typically in operation around the clock, they can also occasionally catch unexpected things like animals in stores or other natural phenomena, but occasionally they will catch something that goes well beyond the realm of the bizarre and spooky. Here are 10 scariest things caught on security cameras. Number 10. You might be thinking, come on, security cameras, what could they possibly catch that's creepy? Well, you'll be surprised when I show you. To start, let me show you a video of a camera capturing a ghost cat, not just any ghost cat, but a ghost cat that can fly through the air. Welcome to our world. In this video, we see a camera on the front of a door passively observing the front porch, which is home to two citizens via two cats. There's nothing wrong with these cats, other than the fact that one of them gets scared by something and flees the scene. Yes, that isn't the technical definition of a ghost, but many ghosts can fly, according to folklore, and you can tell that something strange has happened based on the other very real cat's reaction, which is obviously trying to figure out what in the world happened. Sorry, cat, but I really don't know how to respond to that one because that cat really looked like it shot up into the sky. Even though some people claim that this footage was altered, I would like to refute that with a simple question. Why would someone doctor this footage to make it appear as though the cat could fly into the sky if he wanted to create a ghost cat? Altering the footage to make the cat appear to be fading in and out of reality would have been just as striking, so why choose the more drastic route that no one will ever know about or care about? Number 9. This one might actually sound a little familiar to you because it's not so much creepy as it is tragic that it happened at all. We've all heard stories of people acting foolishly when they are intoxicated, and I'm sure that some of you have stories of your own or perhaps of family members or friends. A woman was watching her own home cameras when she happened to notice something, and she wished she didn't have to get involved. The woman saw two men approach the front of her house. One of them was visibly intoxicated, and his friend was helping him stay upright. Nevertheless, the man then went to undo his shorts so that he could urinate on the lawn. She confronted them, yelled at them, and told them to leave. She called the police on the two, and thanks to the camera footage she has definitive proof that they did this. And if you're waiting for the twist, the guy who peed on her lawn was actually her neighbor, which makes it even more stupid because apparently this guy is so stupid that he probably thought he was relieving himself on his own lawn when in fact he was doing it on his neighbor's naturally and rightfully. Number 8. How often did you have to practice tornado drills in school? I asked because, in all honesty, those drills would have saved your life if a tornado had come your way. I can also vouch for this based on recent events, as a tornado struck Prairie Creek Elementary School in Andover, Kansas, in late April of this year. The tornado struck the school as well as a nearby YMCA. The building was empty because, thankfully, there were no students in session that day. However, the security cameras recorded the entire storm, including the tornado and the massive amounts of damage that occurred. The footage was extremely frightening because it clearly depicted the tornado's intensity. It starts out with what you would call a typical storm feel before picking up speed until chaos broke out. This was actually a recorded F3 tornado, which was so powerful that it won by many metrics and more. Later, we get to see the inside of the school where the windows break and the materials on the inside get sucked in by the tornado itself again. Nobody was hurt, but the building was heavily damaged. Let this be a warning if a tornado is in your area. Number 7. Let me ask you a question in your immediate home right now. What do you think is the most dangerous animal you could encounter? Is it a potentially venomous snake? Is it a bug that could bite you and leave a nasty wound? Or is it a bird that doesn't really like people? Well, in Colorado and other places, to be clear, Douglas County has a much larger problem, and that is mountain lions. Yes, one of the fabled big cats is known to roam the area, and two different security cameras from two different homes in that area were able to catch these lions on the prowl just outside of their front doors. To be clear, while this was an interesting sight, it was also a much talked about item in terms of a warning. The irony of one of these sightings was that the owner had set up her camera so that she could capture the mountain lion coming around. Yes, she and her boyfriend were actually hoping to see a mountain lion on their lawn. Even though mountain lions aren't as well known or as large as tigers or other big cats, they can still be quite destructive if you let them approach you too closely. Number 6. The earlier entries were shocking, but not quite creepy as the video had promised. With this one, we'll fix that. In Illinois, there is a place called the Wingate Hotel. Some video footage was sent to some paranormal investigators because something appeared to be happening at the hotel itself. Specifically, there is a room number 209 that was said to have consistently had noise complaints, and those complaints were about someone screaming. When the security manager received a second complaint about the room in 2003, he sent someone in to look into it. When he got to room 209, they did hear screaming, but nobody had been checked into that room, so in their opinion, at least as far as this wasn't shown in the footage, everything was wrong. The furniture was ripped apart, the carpet was torn up, and the shower was on. You're advised to take this video with a grain of salt because we are unable to fully examine the footage and the investigators claim it is unedited, but we cannot prove that either. So what in the world was going on, further adding to the eerie drama? When the investigators slowed down the footage at a key point when the hotel staffer was examining the room, there appears to be something leaving the room according to investigators. The complaints of the screaming had been going on for years prior to that point. Number 5. If you're craving more ghost stories, you're in luck because I have some more for you. This one is about the return of the ghost cat. Well, technically, it's the return of a ghost cat, but it's not the one from before that I know of. Instead, it's from another location that claimed to have experienced a ghost cat problem. In this instance, a supermarket captured some extremely strange, inexplicable things on camera. In the start of the video, a woman is stocking the shelves when a bag falls over. She picks it up and places it back on the lower shelf, but when she leaves, it falls over again and starts to move on its own. The next clip shows the supermarket from a different angle, and if you look at the floor lights coming from the front door, you can see a shadow go by, but it doesn't seem to be connected to anything. Diego the cat actually investigates, but it doesn't see anything. The last video from the store combines the first two as a bag falls to the ground and starts to move. Diego investigates and appears to freak out about something happening there, but he eventually leaves. Is this place haunted by a ghost cat? Well, yes, it is, and this is the definitive proof of that. Well, not really, but this is a really curious case. You might think it's just simple trickery, but there are plenty of ways to refute that based on what we've seen versus what we haven't. So perhaps someone should visit to see if a cat has passed away in the past. Number 4. I'm getting really good at these ghost videos, so here's another one. This one is from a man who swears in the video that he took it at his house and that it is indeed haunted by a ghost. He describes it as he came home to find one of his courtyard doors wide open. Knowing that he had locked it earlier, he naturally checked his cameras, and as you can see, there was no breeze blowing on this calm day. He watched the security camera footage and realized that he had witnessed this while pulling up to the house. He called the ghost Charlie because it scared him, telling him it was unaltered, 100% real, and that no one was in the house. Ever since, he's had experiences with strange, unsettling things. Although it's difficult to confirm on its own and there are techniques to make a door open without seeing someone open it, the footage itself doesn't look like much at first until you watch the doors and they actually open without someone appearing to be there. One of the oldest tricks in the book, but I can't completely refute it either because, well, it does seem kind of real. Now, let's talk about the bigger problem. Why would you name the ghost Charlie? You can't come up with a more creative name than that. After all, it's a ghost, not your neighbor or your dog. Let your imaginations run wild. What would you name your ghost? Tell me in the comments section below. Number 3. Although it might not appear so at first, the video you're about to watch is from a garage that prudently has a security camera set up to turn on when motion is detected. This is the footage where motion is indeed detected in the garage at 12:30 a.m., and it's a little difficult to explain what's actually happening because it appears that something is falling from the ceiling and then flying throughout the garage. People were very interested in the footage and kept asking the people who showed it off to provide updates on what else happened. It appears that they tried to do so. Now, you might think that the things falling from the ceiling are just bugs, but considering how advanced these cameras are, you'd think that they wouldn't activate for bugs until they were right on them. There also appear to be shadows that aren't attached to anything visible. As for the growls and shadows, I really can't speak to that because I didn't hear or see them on my first viewing, but that doesn't mean that you can't or that they're not there at all. It's a very intriguing thing, and that might just be enough for many. Number 2. You may be sick of ghost stories, but that's okay because I have another one for you. This one is a bit of a doozy because it shows what appears to be an elderly woman being possessed. The video begins slowly enough, showing the elderly woman simply sleeping in her home, but then things start moving even though they weren't moving before. This starts to build and build until all of a sudden things are falling and then getting thrown across the room. The woman eventually wakes up and goes to try to fix the things, but after she goes back to sleep, someone approaches her and seems to fade into her. A short while later, the woman wakes up and actually lets down her hair, making her look like the entity that has infiltrated her body, as the video likes to say. She then begins to move around the room without her cane and in some very violent ways, all the while objects are still moving in the house. As for what I think of this, well, it's elaborate. I'll give them that there was over 6 minutes of footage in total, and it does tell a story. But whether that story is believable or not, well, that's up to you. Given the woman's phasing in the video, you can tell that at least some editing was done, and it wouldn't be difficult to act out a scene like this and make it appear as though everything is flying around the room. As with most ghost story videos, you can decide whether you think this is real or not. Number 1. Now, the last one was a little overly dramatic in its attempt to tell a possession story, so how about this one that's a little more subdued? In this video, someone is filming a room with a rocking horse. Very ordinary stuff, right? I mean, we all do that every day. However, on this rocking horse, which isn't moving to begin with, something removes the blanket and then appears to get on it and start rocking away. Eventually, the person filming this goes over to the horse itself to demonstrate that nothing is moving it and that, therefore, it is a real poltergeist who is riding this horse for unknown reasons. In contrast to the previous story, this one is much more compelling, not least because we actually see the rocking horse being ridden even when the camera is right next to it. Additionally, given the circumstances surrounding the shooting and the time of day, it would be much more difficult to stage this kind of footage. If it is, the creators did a really good job of concealing their methods, and the narrative, which centers on the removal of the blanket to allow the poltergeist to ride the horse, will leave viewers wondering. That's everything from the area of strange and spooky occurrences captured on camera. If you were there, which of the events would you not have wanted to see? Do you think some of them are more spooky than the others? How many of them are fake? Tell me everything about it in the comments section below. Check out the other awesome stuff on our channel, and I'll see you next time.